In Amir Sunnat's booklet, Oceanic Dome, Amir Sunnat narrates an incident that happened. He writes that Sayyidina Bayazid Bistami Rahmatullahi Ta'ala said that during a very cold night, my mother asked me to bring some water for her. My mother asked me to bring some water for her, and I went and I got the water. And by the time I'd come back, my mother had fallen asleep. Now Sayyidina Bayazid Bistami Rahmatullahi thought to himself that I don't want to wake my mother up. I don't want to disturb my mother. But what happens if my mother opens her eyes and she wants the water? So he had this conflict in his mind. What does he do? He doesn't want to wake his mother up out of respect. To disturb her, he didn't want to do this. But he also remembered the command of his mother that his mother said, bring me some water. So he stood there all night. He stood there all night in front of his mother with a glass of water in his hand. And it was a very cold night. And it says that when his mother eventually woke up and she saw her son in front of her, she said to him, Beta, what are you doing? My son, what are you doing? And he said, Mother, you told me to bring some water. I'm here with this water. And it was so cold that when Sayyidina Bayazid Bistami took the water out of his hand to give to his mother, the ice had stuck his finger to the glass. It was that cold. And so when the glass was taken away from his hand, it ripped the skin off his hand and blood started coming out of his fingers. But out of respect, he stayed there. And when his mother listened to what her son had said, she lifted her hands and said, Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, I am pleased with my son. Ya Allah, I beg you to also be pleased with my son as well. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. This is an example of how we should respect our parents. And if you look at this waqia, you see that Sayyidina Bayazid Bistami Rahmatullahi Ta'ala, he showed respect towards his mother. He didn't feel appropriate to wake her up from her sleep. He didn't want to disturb her sleep, and he stayed there all night. But as a result of staying there all night, his mother did this dua for him. Oh Allah, I am pleased with him. You also become pleased with him. Allahu Akbar. And they say that if a mother does a dua for you, Allahu Akbar, then how lucky you are. But again, this son, the sacrifices that this son made to stay up all night to respect the wishes of his mother. Allah Azza wa Jal says to us in the Quran, and I give you the translation from Kanzul Iman, Surah Bani Israel, part 15, ayat 23 and 24. And treat parents with goodness. If one of them or both of them reach old age in front of you, do not even say uff to them. Do not scold them, and speak to them words of respect. And spread for them the arm of humbleness with a soft heart. And request humbly. Yani do this dua, request humbly. Oh my Lord, have mercy on them, both of them, just as they brought me up in my childhood. Allahu Akbar. Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying to them, don't even say uff to your parents. Don't even say uff to your parents. In the commentary of the above mentioned blessed ayat, it is stated that the blessed ayat implies that your Lord Allah Azza wa Jalla has commanded you to observe a righteous behavior towards your parents with extreme kindness. Because the way your parents have done a great favor upon you, it is obligatory, it is further upon you as well to treat them nicely in the same manner. When your parents become weak, when they lose their strength in their limbs and live with you in the last stage of the sheer weakness as you were powerless with them in your childhood, then do not even say uff to them. I do not utter any such word from your mouth that indicates them being a burden upon you. Do not rebuke them. Talk to them gracefully and politely and address them with great manners. This is the tafsir of this ayat. Nowadays, when our parents ask us to do something, I'm busy. Later. I just want to do this first. I just want to do that first. I want to go here first. I haven't got time, Mum. I'll do it later on. Why are you always telling me to do this, Mum? Why can't you tell him to do it? I did it last time. It's his turn now to do it. Mum, how much money will I get if I do this? Is this the state that we become? Think about how many times we disrespect our parents with these simple words. And then when our parents get old and get weak and they cannot do things for themselves, then we start complaining. Why don't you do it for yourself? Can't you do it yourself? And we complain that our parents have got old now and I have to do the shopping. Our parents have got weak now and I have to go and do these things. Do you not remember that time where you could not walk? Do you not remember that time where you could not sit up? Do you not remember that time where your parents, your mother cleaned your excrement, cleaned you and washed you? fed you when you could not even lift your hand, when you could not even do this. You couldn't do this with yourself. You couldn't put your hand to your mouth. And your parents, they did it for you. When snot came out of your nose, who was it that cleaned that snot? When you were sick, who was it that cleaned it? When you wet your bed, who was it that put you on the dry part of the bed? It was your mother and your parents that did this.
We love Madani Channel. We love Madani Channel. We love Madani Channel.